Imagine a quiet classroom in America's South, where a buried secret's about to burst wide open. A young man, cloaked in a fake name, sits silent until his mother's honor gets trampled right before him. What happens next will stun a professor, freeze a crowd, and blaze across the nation. This is Barron Trump stands up as Professor mocks Melania. His response shocks everyone. Like this video, share it with a friend who loves real drama. Subscribe for more raw tales, and drop a comment below. Let's crank this story up. The late sun dipped low over Vanderbilt University in Nashville, washing the Gothic spires in a fiery golden glow. A sharp October wind swept the quad, tossing crisp leaves across the stone paths like restless whispers. Inside a sleek lecture hall, tension hummed in the air. Students shuffled in, boots scuffing the polished floor, voices buzzing with restless energy. In the middle row, Daniel Barron eased into his seat, faded flannel blending into the crowd, cap tugged low over his keen eyes. No one here knew his real name, Barron Trump. He'd come to this southern city to ditch the glare of his family's fame, to live free of its shadow. But today, that thin disguise felt ready to rip apart. Professor Abigail Thornton swept in, heels cracking the silence like thunder. She flung her scarf onto the podium and flashed a grin that sliced like a blade. "All right, y'all, hush up. We've got a hot one today." The chatter died fast, every eye locking on her. Abigail was a legend, a media critic who'd slashed through icons on Nashville's gritty talk show stages. Her students fed off her fearless bite. She spun to the whiteboard, marker squeaking as she carved in bold strokes. Public image, truth or fiction? "Today," she said, voice thick with relish, "we're tearing into someone you think you know. Let's see what's left when the gloss peels off." In the front, Hannah Reed leaned in, eyes sharp behind her glasses, notebook ready like a drawn blade. "This'll be good," she hissed to Caleb Watts beside her. Caleb grinned, fingers itching over his phone. "Need a viral hit, this better deliver." He tilted it slyly, camera blinking on unnoticed. Across the aisle, Tucker Boone slouched low, cowboy hat tipped back, arms crossed tight. "Better not be liberal garbage," he growled, drawl thick with grit. Barron caught it, a faint smirk tugging his lips. He liked Tucker's fire, even if he kept his own buried deep. Abigail clapped hard, the sound snapping through. "Let's talk Melania Trump." She scrawled the name big, and Barron's chest seized, heat surging fast. Whispers rippled quick. Hannah's eyebrow shot up. "She's going for it," she murmured. Caleb snickered. "Oh, this'll stir the pot." Tucker's jaw clenched, fingers twitching, but he stayed quiet. Barron's grip on his pen tightened, plastic creaking under his knuckles. He'd sworn to stay out, let the world sling its dirt. But Abigail's smug curl of lips lit a spark he couldn't douse. "Melania Trump," she sneered, venom lacing every word. "All shine, no spine. What she done but pose pretty." Snickers broke out, cruel and sharp. Tucker's hand flew up. "That's unfair." She was First Lady. Abigail cut him off cold. "Save it, Boone. No fairy tales here." She slashed the air with her marker. "Image or reality? Substance or with just a shell and heels?" Hannah muttered fast. "Shell, pure PR." Caleb nudged her, grinning. "Tucker's gonna blow. This is gold." Sure enough, Tucker leaned in. "She's strong. Y'all won't see." Abigail laughed icy. "Strong? Sugar. Heels ain't grit." Laughter crashed over the room. Barron's pulse thundered, drowning the jeers. His mom's name? A cheap jab. He saw her steal, her fight for kids while the world sneered. Abigail pressed on. Role model or mirage? Silence fell, thick and tense. Caleb taunted low. "Defend her. This is fire." Barron glanced at the Cumberland River outside, its calm mocking his storm. Abigail's smug stare snapped it. His chair scraped loud as he stood, echoing sharp. Heads whipped round. Abigail's smirk froze. Hannah's breath hitched. Tucker grinned fierce. Caleb's camera locked on. The air crackled, waiting to blow. The lecture hall at Vanderbilt University thrummed with restless energy, the air still crackling from the moment Daniel Barron stood up. Every eye lingered on him, a shadowed figure in flannel, cap low, his silence louder than the fading laughter. Professor Abigail Thornton recovered fast, her smug grin snapping back into place as she leaned against the podium, arms crossed tight. "Well now," she drawled, voice thick with mockery. "Looks like we got a volunteer. What's your take, Mr. Quiet in the back? Got something to say about our darling Melania?" Snickers rippled through the room again, sharp and biting, but Barron's gaze stayed locked on her, unwavering, a storm brewing beneath his calm. Hannah Reed scribbled furiously in the front, her pen scratching loud against the paper. "Oh, he's got guts," she whispered to Caleb Watts, her voice a mix of awe and skepticism. Caleb grinned wide, his phone steady in his hands, camera rolling smooth. "This is it, man. Viral gold, right here." Across the aisle, Tucker Boone sat up straight, his cowboy hat casting a shadow over his eager grin. "Give him hell, Danny," he called out, fists clenched, ready for a fight. Barron's lips twitched faintly. He appreciated the backup, but he kept his focus on Abigail, her taunting words echoing in his skull. Abigail stepped forward, heels clicking slow and deliberate, her eyes narrowing as she sized him up. "Come on, then. Don't just stand there looking pretty. Ironic, huh? Tell us why Melania Trump's worth a damn." The room erupted in laughter, louder this time, a wave of jeers crashing over him. Barron's chest burned, his grip on the pen tightening until it felt like it'd snap. He saw his mom in his mind, her soft voice recounting nights spent building Be Best, her quiet strength against a world that never listened. These people didn't know her. They didn't care to. Abigail's smirk widened. "What's the matter, sugar? Cat got your tongue? Or is it just empty up there?" Hannah leaned closer to Caleb, her voice low and quick. "He's not going to bite, is he? Looks like he's choking already." Caleb shook his head, eyes gleaming. "Nah, he's got something. You watch. This is going to blow up." Tucker pounded a fist on his desk, his drawl cutting through. "She's a fighter, Professor. You're just too stuck up to see it." Abigail spun on him, her laugh cold as ice. "Oh, Boone, you're adorable. A fighter? What did she fight? Her wardrobe stylist?" The class roared again, the sound pounding against Barron's ears like a drumbeat he couldn't shake. His blood surged, hot and fierce. He could feel it, the line he'd drawn, the promise to stay silent, crumbling under the weight of her words. Abigail turned back to him, her tone sharpening. "Still nothing? Guess that tracks. Empty image, empty defender. Let's break it down, y'all. Melania Trump, the so-called First Lady, what's her legacy? A couple photo ops and a plagiarized speech." She paused, letting the jab sink in, then wrote on the board, "Be Best." "Oh, right, this little gem. A cute slogan for bullying, from a woman tied to the biggest bully on Twitter. How's that for irony?" The room burst into chaos. Laughter, gasps, a few claps. Each sound a dagger twisting deeper in Barron's gut. Tucker shot to his feet, chair scraping loud. "That's bull, Professor. She cared about kids. You don't know squat." Abigail wheeled on him, eyes flashing. "Sit down, Boone, before you hurt yourself." "Caring? She cared about her spotlight. Nothing more." Hannah smirked, muttering, "She's not wrong. Be Best was a flop." Caleb nudged her hard, whispering, "Shut up. This is getting good." Barron's vision narrowed, the room fading to a blur. His mom's face flashed again, her steady hands helping him through his own dark days, her voice promising she'd never quit. These people saw a shell. He saw a rock. Abigail strutted back to the board, her marker slashing as she underlined Be Best. Let's be real. This was a PR stunt that went nowhere. No impact, no substance, just like her. Tell me, class, what's the point of a first lady who can't even speak up? She turned, locking eyes with Barron, her grin daring him. Still quiet, huh? Guess you're just as hollow as she is. The laughter swelled, a tidal wave crashing over him. Tucker growled low. You're full of it. But Abigail ignored him, her gaze drilling into Barron like a challenge he couldn't dodge. His heart thumped wild, a roar in his chest he couldn't hold back. He saw the Cumberland River through the window, its calm surface mocking the fury inside him. Should he stay silent or let it out? Every jab at his mom cut deeper, Her journey from Slovenia, her fight to belong, all dismissed as nothing. Abigail's voice sliced through again. What's it gonna be, mystery man? You gonna defend this mirage? Or just stand there like a statue? Caleb leaned forward, camera steady, whispering, "Come on, dude, say something." Hannah's pen paused, her eyes flicking up. Tucker's fists balled tight, waiting. Barron's jaw clenched, his breath short and ragged. The room spun slow, every laugh a spark on the fuse. He'd come here to hide, to be Daniel Barron, not Barron Trump. But this wasn't about him, it was about her. His mom, the woman they didn't know. Abigail's smug laugh was the final straw. A match struck hard. His hands unclenched, the pen dropping soft to the desk. He straightened tall, his voice low but steady, cutting through the din. "You don't know her, but you're about to." The room fell dead silent, every eye wide, waiting for the explosion to come. The Vanderbilt lecture hall froze in a heartbeat, the silence so thick it choked the air. Daniel Barron stood rigid, his flannel shirt stretched tight across his broad shoulders, cap casting a shadow over eyes that blazed with a fury no one saw coming. His last words, "You don't know her, but you're about to," hung like a thunderclap, reverberating off the walls. Professor Abigail Thornton blinked hard, her smug grin wobbling as she clutched the podium, her knuckles whitening fast. The room crackled with raw tension, every student locked in place, breaths held tight, waiting for the storm to break wide open. Hannah Reed's pen dangled limp in her hand, her sharp eyes darting between Barron and Abigail, wide with disbelief. "Did he just say that?" she hissed to Caleb Watts, her voice trembling on the edge of awe. Caleb's grin split his face, his phone steady as a rock, camera rolling hot. "Oh man, this is it. This is pure fire." Across the aisle, Tucker Boone slammed a fist on his desk, his cowboy hat tipping wild as he bellowed, "Hell yeah, Danny. Tear it up." Barron's gaze stayed fixed on Abigail, unyielding, but Tucker's roar stoked the inferno raging inside him, pushing him past the point of no return. Abigail snapped back quick, her heels clicking slow and sharp as she stepped forward, chin jutting high. Well, looks like we got a hero in flannel." Her laugh sliced through, brittle and forced, masking the unease flickering in her eyes. "Come on, then, mystery man, enlighten us. Tell us why Melania Trump's more than a glossy poster girl." The room burst alive, snickers, gasps, a few sharp claps, each sound a lash against Barron's skin. His chest heaved hard, the anger he'd chained down clawing its way out. He saw his mom, her quiet strength leaving Slovenia alone, her fight for kids dismissed as fluff. These people didn't know her. He'd damn well make them see. "You want to know her?" Barron's voice rolled out low, steady, cutting the chaos like a blade through silk. "My mom didn't grow up with wealth or privilege. She came from a nowhere town in Slovenia, taught herself English from nothing, built a life with her bare hands." The words hit like punches, the room falling dead silent, every syllable sinking deep. Abigail's smirk twitched, her stance stiffening, but she held firm. Hannah's jaw dropped slow, her pen clattering loud to the desk. "His mom," she breathed, voice shaking. Caleb whispered fast, eyes gleaming. "Jackpot. He said my mom. This is unreal." Tucker nodded hard, grinning fierce. "Damn straight. Lay it out, Danny." Barron stepped forward, boots thudding heavy on the floor, his voice rising like a tide, unstoppable. "You mock her accent, her style, her silence, but you don't know the hell she walked through. She faced a world that tore her apart and kept standing tall." Abigail opened her mouth to cut in, but Barron's voice surged over her, fierce and raw. "You laugh at me best like it's nothing. Ask the kids she saved, kids like me, who needed a voice when no one else cared. She didn't quit. Not on them, not on me." His words broke rough, emotion bleeding through, the room so still you could hear a pin drop, every eye glued to him. Abigail's face twisted, her grip on the podium tightening as she shot back, voice sharp as a whip. "Oh, that's a good one. Your mom? So what? Melania's a martyr now. Be Best was a PR stunt, Pretty words, zero punch. She stood by a bully, and you want us to cry for her. Laughter sputtered up, shaky and thin. Tucker leapt up, chair screeching loud. That's crap, Professor. She's got guts. You're just too bitter to see. Abigail wheeled on him, venom flashing hot. Sit your ass down, Boone. Guts? She had a spotlight and a mirror. That's it. The room buzzed wild, students shifting uneasy, some nodding slow. Barron's fists balled tight, his breath jagged and hot. A mirror? You think she wanted that? She took every hit, every headline, every sneer, and still fought back. You call her empty? You don't know empty till you've lived it. His voice thundered now, shaking the walls, raw with a son's pride. Hannah clutched her notebook, whispering, he's her son? No way. Caleb's eyes danced, camera locked. This ain't just viral. This is history. The chaos swelled, murmurs rippling fast, a few heads tilting as the truth sank in slow. Abigail strode closer, heels echoing like gunshots, her voice rising to clash with his. Oh, please. We're supposed to cheer for her now? A woman who hitched her wagon to power and called it a struggle? Give me a break. She jabbed a finger at him, daring him hard. You're just a kid with a sob story. Prove it means a damn thing. Barron's eyes flared, the Cumberland River outside a distant blur against the rage boiling over. He saw his mom's hands, steady, worn, lifting him up when he crumbled. Prove it, he growled low, voice trembling with iron resolve. She's tougher than you'll ever understand, and I'm done letting you bury her. The room detonated. Gasps, shouts, Tucker's wild whoop slicing through the din. Abigail stumbled back a step, her face paling as his words slammed home. Hannah's hand shook, her notebook sliding forgotten. Caleb hissed low, holy crap, he's Barron Trump. Tucker pounded his desk, roaring, that's my guy. Barron stood rooted, chest heaving, the silence after his outburst ringing loud. Abigail's mouth hung open, no retort ready for the first time ever. The air pulsed thick, raw with shock, waiting for the fallout to hit. The Vanderbilt lecture hall buzzed chaotic, a hive kicked wide open after Barron Trump's thunderous stand. His words, she's tougher than you'll ever understand, and I'm done letting you bury her, still rang in the air, raw and unshakable. Abigail Thornton stood frozen at the podium, her face drained pale, her usual sharp tongue stilled for the first time. The room swirled with gasps and shouts, Tucker Boone's wild whoop piercing through like a battle cry. Barron's chest heaved, his flannel shirt damp with sweat, cap low over eyes that burned with a son's fierce pride. The silence that followed was deafening, but it wouldn't last. Hannah Reed clutched her notebook tight, her hands trembling as she whispered to Caleb Watts, "He's Barron Trump? This is unreal." Caleb's eyes gleamed wild, his phone still rolling, capturing every second. Unreal? This is a damn goldmine. We're at 1 million views by tonight. He tapped the screen fast, uploading the clip with a caption that had set the internet ablaze. Student torches professor. Guess who he really is? Across the aisle, Tucker leapt up, chair clattering loud, his cowboy hat flying off as he roared, "That's my guy. Told y'all she's a fighter." Barron shot him a quick nod, gratitude flickering, but his focus stayed on Abigail, her stunned silence louder than any comeback. Students erupted, voices overlapping in a frantic hum, some shocked, some cheering, others scrambling for their phones. Abigail snapped out of her daze, her heels clicking shaky as she stepped back, voice cracking high. "You're her son, Barron Trump." She laughed, a brittle, nervous sound. "Well, that's a twist. Doesn't change a thing. She's still a hollow shell." Her words landed weak, the room's energy shifting hard against her. Tucker shouted back, "Bull, you're the hollow one. Can't handle the truth." Hannah shook her head slow, muttering, "She's losing it." He's got her rattled. Barron's jaw clenched tight, his breath steadying as he faced her down. "You don't have to believe me, but you'll hear me out. She's not your punching bag anymore." His voice cut deep, firm and unyielding, the weight of years behind it. The class hushed again, phones raised high. every lens on him. Caleb whispered, "Keep going, man. This is blowing up." Hannah's eyes flicked to Abigail, then Barron, her skepticism cracking. "He's not wrong. She took a lot. Maybe I misjudged her." Outside, the Cumberland River flowed steady, its calm a stark mirror to the chaos unfolding within. Abigail rallied, her voice rising sharp. "Oh, spare me the hero act. You think this changes facts? Be best was a joke. Your mom's a prop. Nothing more." She jabbed a finger at him, desperate to regain control. Barron stepped closer, boots thudding slow, his tone low and lethal. "A prop. She's a reason I'm still here. She fought for me when no one else did. You don't get to erase that." The room sucked in a collective breath, his words raw, stripping him bare. Tucker's fists balled tight, his voice thick. "Damn right, Danny. Tell her." The door creaked open soft, Dr. Lena Sullivan slipping in, her quiet steps unnoticed amid the uproar. The assistant professor paused, eyes wide as she took in the scene, Barron towering, Abigail faltering, the class a live wire. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching close. Abigail didn't see her, too locked on Barron. "You're just a kid with a grudge," she spat, voice shaking. "Your mom's legacy is photo ops. Deal with it." Barron's eyes flared, his voice dropping deadly. "Photo ops. She held me together when I was breaking. That's her legacy. You'll never touch it." The room ignited again. Shouts, cheers, a few stunned gasps. Tucker roared, "That's the truth, y'all." Hannah's pen scratched fast, her whisper urgent. "He's real. I didn't see this coming." Caleb's phone buzzed wild, notifications flooding as the video spiked, 10,000 views in minutes. "We're trending," he hissed, eyes dancing. Abigail staggered back, her face a mask of shock and defiance, but her fire was fading fast. Barron stood firm, chest rising slow, the weight of his stand settling in. He'd bared his soul, and they'd heard him. Lena stepped forward quiet, her voice cutting through soft but clear. "Abigail, he's right. We don't know her story, not really." Abigail spun, startled, her glare icy. "Stay out of this, Lena. He's just playing the room." Lena shook her head slow, unfazed. "No, he's showing us something. Maybe we missed it." The class murmured low, heads turning, some nodding faint. Barron glanced at Lena, a flicker of thanks in his eyes, but he stayed silent, letting her words sink in. Abigail's hand shook, her voice thin. This doesn't change her record. But the fight was draining out, her stance crumbling. Barron looked past her, out to the river, his mind flashing to his mom, her steady hands, her unbreakable will. He'd done it for her. Caleb's phone pinged louder. 50,000 views now, climbing fast. "It's everywhere," he whispered, awestruck. Hannah looked at Barron, her voice soft. I think I get it now." The bell rang sharp, shattering the moment, but no one moved, eyes still on Barron. Abigail grabbed her scarf, her face tight, muttering, "Class dismissed," as she stormed out, heels echoing fast. Tucker clapped Barron's shoulder hard, grinning wide. "You're a legend, man." Barron nodded slow, pulling his cap lower, the weight of his words settling deep. The room emptied slow, whispers trailing, but he stayed rooted, staring at the board. Melania Trump still scrawled bold, no longer just a name. A week had passed since the Vanderbilt lecture hall erupted, but the echo of Barron Trump's stand lingered like a heartbeat in the walls. The room buzzed soft now, students filing in slow, their boots scuffing the polished floor with a quiet reverence. Daniel Barron slipped into his middle row seat, flannel shirt loose, cap low over eyes that carried a new weight. The whiteboard stood clean, no trace of Melania Trump scrawled bold, but her name hung heavy in the air, unspoken yet loud. Today felt different, charged with something final. Professor Abigail Thornton stepped in, her heels clicking softer than before, her scarf draped loose over her shoulder. Gone was the smug grin, replaced by a tight-lipped tension that drew every gaze. She set her bag down slow, her voice low but clear. "All right, y'all, let's get started." The room hushed fast. No whispers, no snickers, just a thick, waiting silence. Barron's chest tightened faint, his fingers brushing the pen on his desk, steady but ready. He'd bared his soul last time. What came next? Hannah Reed sat up front, her notebook open, but her sharp eyes flicked to Barron, softer now, less skeptical. "He's still here," she murmured to Caleb Watts, her tone laced with respect. Caleb grinned, phone in hand, camera off for once. "Dude's a legend. Videos at 25 mil now." Across the aisle, Tucker Boone leaned back, cowboy hat resting on his knee, a proud smirk tugging his lips. "Told y'all he'd shake him up," he muttered low, nodding at Barron. Barron caught it, a faint warmth in his chest, but his focus stayed on Abigail, waiting for her move. Abigail cleared her throat, her hands gripping the podium light, her voice steady but changed. "Last week, something happened here. A student spoke up, loudly, and I've been thinking on it." She paused, her gaze sweeping the room, landing soft on Barron. "I've built my career tearing down images, questioning everything. But maybe I forgot to question myself." The words dropped heavy, a ripple of gasps breaking the quiet. Hannah's pen scratched fast, her breath catching. "She's admitting it?" she whispered. Caleb's eyes widened, stunned. "No way, this is huge." Barron sat still, his pulse quickening slow, a mix of surprise and calm washing over him. Abigail stepped forward, her heels echoing faint, her voice gaining strength. "I've always said public figures are fair game, but I didn't look deeper. I saw Melania Trump as a shell, not a person." She locked eyes with Barron, unflinching. "You, Daniel, you show me there's a story I missed. A real one." The room sucked in a breath, every head turning to him. Tucker clapped loud, grinning wide. "That's right, Professor. About time." Abigail raised a hand, silencing the stir, her tone softer now, raw. "I'm not saying I'm sold on her legacy, but I'm saying I was wrong to dismiss it without listening. You made me see that, and I owe you thanks." Her voice trembled faint, a crack in her armor no one expected. Barron's throat tightened, his cap shadowing the glint in his eyes. He saw his mom, her steady hands, her quiet fight, and felt her strength in him now. He nodded slow, just once, a silent truce forged in that moment. Hannah turned in her seat, her voice low but clear. "Barron, you really got through to her. That's incredible." Caleb leaned over, his grin softer now. "Man, you didn't just win. You changed the game." Tucker stood up, his drawl booming proud. "You're a damn hero, Danny. Showed him what's real." Barron's lips curved faint, a rare smile breaking through, but he stayed quiet, letting their words settle deep. The room buzzed warm, a shift in the air, respect where there'd been scorn. Abigail stepped back, her hands unclenching slow, her voice firm again. "We live in a world quick to judge, too quick. I teach y'all to question, but I forgot to listen first. That changes now." She paused, her gaze sweeping wide. "Everyone's got a story, and we don't get to trash it till we know it." The class nodded slow, some eyes misty, others wide with thought. Barron leaned back, his breath easing out, the weight of his stand lifting just a fraction. He'd done it for her. The bell rang sharp, breaking the spell, but the room lingered, no one rushing out. Abigail gathered her things slow, her voice soft as she passed Barron. "Keep speaking up, Daniel. We need it." She walked out, heels fading down the hall. Tucker clapped Barron's shoulder hard, grinning. "You're the man." Hannah stood, her tone earnest. "I was wrong about her. Thanks for showing me." Caleb pocketed his phone, his voice awed. 25 mil, dude, and counting." Barron rose slow, pulling his cap low, his eyes drifting to the Cumberland River outside, steady, strong like his mom. He'd come here to hide, but he'd found his voice instead. "I just wanted her story heard," he said quiet, to no one and everyone, his words a vow. The room emptied, whispers trailing, but he stood a moment longer, feeling her pride across the miles, knowing he'd honored it. Thanks for watching, y'all. This story's about standing up and speaking truth. Hit that like button if it moved you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more real, raw tales like this. Let's keep the fire burning. See you next time.